I bought this dress in a charity shop for £2 English, and it's a lovely, lovely dress, but I just don't feel comfortable in it. So it's got these two crossover bits that come across here, and then it's really fitted here and then a bit looser at the bottom, and it's quite fitted, but then it's got this like almost like this is a top over the top, but it's all built into the dress, and then it's just below the knee, but it's just too figure hugging around my tummy and my bottom, and I just, post children, I'm not that happy with my tummy anymore. So what I'm gonna do, because I absolutely love this fabric, it's like a loop back, soft brushed navy and white stripe, which is like a classic fabric. I'm going to upcycle it into a t-shirt, and I know that I will wear the t-shirt a ton, and it will be a real part of my capsule wardrobe and a real staple part of my wardrobe, whereas this dress, every time I put it on, I'm just going to feel too self-conscious about my tummy. Let's get started. This is the dress all cut out. So I have cut along the side seam and across this bit at the top just to separate it out, and there's probably not enough fabric to cut the front and back on the fold like the pattern suggests, so I'm going to have to cut out on the single layer and seam it at the front. So I think I can get my front there, and I'll be able to get my back pieces as well, but I might have to cut out smaller pieces and sew these together so it's not all in one piece. As what's really important is making sure that I cut them all so the stripes are going to be completely horizontal, so I could put it on, but I don't want the stripes to all be wonky. I want to get a really good finish. So if I look here at the length and shorten line, I want to make sure that that is on the same stripe all the way along. So I'm going to cut the front out there because that seems the most economical way to do it, and it's only wasting a little bit over here, and then I'll piece everything in on and show you how I've got on. Cut out the front, out of the side here. I just left a little edge along here for the seam allowance so I can piece it together. Now I'm going to try and fit the front and the back on the rest of the fabric. I have flipped the dress over onto the back, so you can see the loop back side here, because I need the two fronts to be a mirror image of each other. I have made sure that I've tried to stripe match when I've placed this piece on top of the other. So where this seam is, I'm going to cut it in the same place, so I'll be able to piece it together and hopefully stripe match along the front. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I think the back is going to be a bit of a patchwork to get it to go, but I think as long as it looks good at the front, the back can look quite quirky. After cutting out the fronts, I haven't got that much left, so I'm going to have to piece the back. I think it's going to be better to add a bit at the top of the back, like a yoke, rather than at the bottom. It might look a bit random. So I'm going to pin this on, cut round it, and then try and figure out how I'm going to get another back piece and a yoke out of this. Now the hem of the dress here looks a little bit wobbly, so I'm going to line up the centre back with one of these stripes, and then where the hem's got a bit stretched out here, I'm just going to try and ease it in to the piece, and then hopefully, because it's lining up with a horizontal stripe on the front, it shouldn't be too noticeable. So this is the back piece. You see there is the label, and I've cut off the bit that was kind of covering it, and I think I've just got enough space to squeeze in my back piece, but it's really tight. It has got the darts here in the back, but I'm not going to unpick those, so I think I'm just going to end up with a hole in the jersey. So avoiding that bit there, I think if I go right up into the shoulder seam, across a bit that way and into the shoulder seam this way. I think I can just squeeze it in. Now this stripe is a horizontal stripe and the other back piece I've cut out is a vertical stripe, but I think it's going to look quite cool and it'll be part of its story that it's made from an upcycle dress. So I'm going to cut out this piece and then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to fit the sleeves, the yoke and the neckband. This is very, very tight, but here I've managed to get it on just on the edge there. So this is the back, so I had to do it as a top bit and a bottom bit to fit it on. So it's almost going to have a yoke at the top, and then I've managed to get it here and then up to here, but if you look, it's really, really tight. So this little thin bit is all I have left, and I still need to do my neckband and the sleeves. So I think now might be the time to admit to myself that I can't have this length sleeve. I'm going to have to cut it up to there. But if I trim it down, I should be able to fit one there and one there and still have room for my little neckband piece that's hiding it. I have trimmed my sleeve down and now I've got enough room to lie it on the stripes there. It's my greying line. This is my neckband piece here, so I should be able to flip that. It's going to be tight, but flip that and then squeeze it in there. And then I've got this little piece here that again, it's going to be really tight. I should be able to fit a sleeve on. If not, there is this piece here, but I'm wondering if it might be a step too far to have the sleeve, two sleeves with different stripes going on. We are all cut out, so we've got a sleeve, and the only way to get it to fit on the dress was to do one in the opposite direction. We've got the back, so we've got the lower back and the yoke, the neckband and the front. My next job is I'm going to unpick details like this, like the label really carefully, the darts, and I need to construct it so that it is all one piece. So at the moment the back is in two halves on the lower back and two halves on the yoke, so I need to construct it so that I've got all four pieces are together as one. Same with the front, so I've literally just got four pieces: the neckband, the front, the back and the sleeve. I've attached the front together. I went nice and slowly along this centre front seam so I could stripe match. It's not absolutely perfect everywhere, but I think generally it's stripe matched really well. I'm going to press and top stitch this seam here because I think the way that it's wobbling is going to ruin the aesthetics at the front of the t-shirt. And to stripe match, I've ended up losing about a centimetre on one side of the hem, but I think stripe matching is more important. Now that it's done, I'm not normally a fan of pockets, but I think if this had a vertical stripe pocket like that, it would just finish it off really nicely. So I'm going to create that in just a minute. The back is attached together, so I've tried to stripe match here at the top. This is the stripes here are going the other way, but I don't really mind that, and I've tried to keep this stripe here straight all the way down. See, it's pulling a little bit where I've taken the back darts out of this piece, and you can see here the little square where the label was when I was unpicked it, but I'm pretty sure that will press out. I think the top looks so much better with the addition of the pocket. So I've pressed and overlocked the top edge and then I've hemmed it. I know this looks like a lot of pins, but with the stretch I really don't want it to move, and because it's got the stripes on it, it'll be really obvious if it does. So I've got stripes there to line up the pocket, and then I've lined up the fabric with the stripes on the outside. So to start off with, I'm going to baste it in place, which I know seems a bit time consuming, and people normally like jersey projects to be really, really quick, but I I think taking this time now will give a much better finish, because if this pocket is wonky and not in the right place, it's going to really bother me. So I'm going to baste it in, and then I'll show you how I would top stitch it in place. Pocket is now basted on. It needs a good press because you can see where all the pins were, but this will hold it in place, so I can top stitch it with a stretch stitch, and then I can take out these basting stitches because they're really big. They'll be really easy to remove, knowing that that pocket isn't going to move out of place. If it's out of place, it will really bother me, and if I stitch it in the wrong place with a stretch stitches are really difficult to take out because they're so small. So I'm going to put it now on my stretch stitch, which is this lightning bolt one, which is almost impossible to unpick, and I'm going to top stitch it in place and then take out the basting stitch. Pocket is now top stitched in place, and it's straight with that stripe at the top, straight with the stripe at the bottom, and the pockets are straight on the sides. I can see that by the stripes. So I'm just going to unpick that line of base and stitch in that I did before. So after piecing all the bits together and all of the cutting out, assembly was relatively straightforward. So I used iron-on interfacing on the shoulder seams. I usually just put it on the back piece, and this just stops the shoulder seam from stretching out of shape because you want that bit of the garment to be really stable. And then it was overlocked together. Then I use sewing clips to attach the sleeves and the neckband. Usually when I'm overlocking, I do use sewing clips rather than pins, because if you ever get a pin caught in your overlocker, it completely damages the machine. It can make the blade blunt. So if you ever buy an overlocker, you'll be strongly advised from using pins. The sewing clips work really well, and this was a really great neckband to put in. It didn't need that much stretching and easing and went in really nicely. So attached it all, I quartered it, and then made sure it all went in even, so I didn't have any bits that were really stretched and any bits that were going to sag. And then I repeated on the other sleeve. So you may remember from the cutting out process, I had one that had horizontal stripes and one that had vertical stripes. So I wanted to pin this so that it was really even on the horizontal stripe. So when all the pieces were attached together using the sewing clips, I went ahead and overlocked the shoulder seams together, so the shoulder to the sleeve and the neckband. I went nice and steady on the neckband to make sure it was really smooth and even. And I'd normally recommend when you're doing a neckband that you start in the centre back or on the side. So if you do have a little wobble, when you come back to the start, it's not going to be right in the centre front and really obvious. Obviously, if you're more experienced, you wouldn't need to do that. So then to create it into a t-shirt, so I use sewing clips to attach the side seams, so that at this point, that's when it comes together as a t-shirt. Some sewing patterns ask you to assemble the front and back bodices together first, then put in the sleeves and the neckband. But I think it's much easier to attach everything on the flat. So it's about finding what works best for you. And normally for me, putting a neckband and sleeves on the flat is much more straightforward, especially when using stretch. Once the side seams were all clipped together, I overlocked these together, taking out the sewing clips as I went. So I overlocked up both sides of the garment. Once I'd done that, I overlocked the hem and the hem of the sleeves just to make it really easy for the next part of the process, in which I pinned and pressed the hem. Once I had overlocked the hems of the sleeve and the bottom hem, I pressed and pinned the hems to 2 centimetres after I'd tried on and I was happy with the length. I'm not sure where my video of pressing and pinning the hem went to, but I promise you I did it. And you can see here, this is me stitching the hem together and the sleeves together at 2 centimetre hem, taking the pins out as I go, and I'm doing this on a stretch stitch on my machine so that it'll allow me to move easily in the garment without the stitches popping. And then if your hem is a little bit wavy after you've stitched it with a stretch stitch, give it a really good steam with your iron and a really good press, and that will just flatten out the hems and set them. I just wanted to show you my finished bedrock tee. So you may remember this was a dress that I bought from a charity shop, and it was too tight on my tummy, so I spent ages figuring out how I could piece it together, how I could patchwork it. It's now complete. So I had to seam it down the centre front out of 2 pieces, but I'm quite pleased with how the stripe matching works at the front. It's not perfect every single place, but I can definitely live with it, and I'm really pleased how it turned out. I did the neckband as a vertical stripe, and I think that's a really nice contrast. I decided to put a vertical stripe pocket on. I'm not normally a pocket person, I don't think they're very flattering, but this just felt like a wide expanse of stripes. I just needed something to break it up. This sleeve has the horizontal stripes, and for this one I had to go vertical because I didn't have enough to do them the same way. But I'm quite pleased with the stripe matching on the shoulder. It creates like a chevron pattern, and then it leads down into that stripe. Then here it kind of points down and across. And I think when it's on, the eye continues there for the stripes and it's broken up there. But I think it kind of works because it's contrasted with the pocket. Well, I think so anyway. So I did view B of the bedrock tee. So it's got the curved hem here at the front, which I think is flattering, comes down nicely at the side. And then the back was a bit trickier. So I had to do this out of 4 different pieces. So the yoke is 2 pieces stitched together on the centre back, and then the back is 2 pieces stitched down the centre back. But I think it kind of works. This piece had to go vertical and all the others are horizontal to get it to work. But again, it kind of adds to the quirkiness of the t-shirt, and I totally think it works. So a success. And this fabric is a lovely soft cozy, you're showing me my tummy now, a lovely soft cozy jersey loop back. So I think it'll be a really, really comfy make, and I think it'll be definitely a wardrobe staple. I knew there was something that I didn't say that I wanted to say. So I added an inch across the top of the centre front, the back and the sleeve, so it gives me more space here so the underarm isn't pinching, and I think it makes it really nice and loose and comfortable here and gives a nicer shape. And I also added 2 inches into the bodice on the lengthen and shorten line, so I think it is the right length for me, and I think if I made another one I'd keep it to this length. So in total 3 inches, 1 across here and 2 across there. The pattern, the bedrock pattern, is drafted for 5'5" and I'm 5'10", so 3 inches should be about right. Okay, I promise that's it now.